This podcast is part of Mishmash Media. Hey, buddy.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. And welcome to another episode of Curbcast, a Curb Your Enthusiasm review podcast where we review episodes scene by scene. My name's Ivan.
And I'm Stephen.
And we are halfway through season 1. We are up to episode 5 of the very first season of Curb, Interior Decorator.
Yeah, Interior Decorator. I forgot that we'd watched this episode and had done this episode. So previously this podcast was a shorter bonus podcast for our previous podcast that we used to do, a Seinfeld podcast called But I Don't Want to Be a Secondary Character. And I completely forgot about this episode.
Yeah, I know. I remember it had Diane Keaton.
Yeah, well, kind of Diane Keaton. Her voice.
Her voice as well. And just lots of coincidences, lots of Curbisms in season 1 like that.
Yeah, lots of unfortunate coincidences for Larry.
Indeed. Anyway, yeah, so we are halfway through and I thought the episode was actually not too bad.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
It's
not too
right.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, after seeing up to season 3, my new takes on season 1 are a bit more, I have a bit more scrutiny now.
Yeah, you do, yeah.
I think because I understand how much better it gets, so the standard's a bit higher. When we first watched it, I'd never seen really any full Curb episodes, so I was a bit more lenient. Now it's a bit more like, it's not as good as season 2 or 3, but...
Yeah, I spoke to my cousin on the weekend about Curb, and he was like, it gets better, because I told him like how far we're up to.
Yeah.
And he goes, once you keep watching it, it gets even better.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is just like the early days of Curb.
I think that's the benefit of doing a show once every kind of 2 years on average. You get more time to develop the storylines and, more, it's probably more frustrating. I mean, it is more frustrating for fans.
Yeah.
Especially those who've been watching since it started 20 years ago, because you have to wait like a year longer than a normal sitcom.
Sure.
But I guess when it does come out, it's going to be good because they're not under the pressure to just pump out a new season every year. They can take the time to make sure every episode is great.
Yeah, because they're not bound by the limits of like network television.
No.
HBO, there was more like creative control. I don't know what it's like these days, but I guess back then there was more creative control, more freedom. And like Larry, like he already had the money, so it's not like he was struggling. Like he was in Seinfeld when he started off.
And I'm sure if HBO put pressure on and said, we need more content more quickly, he'd just say, screw you and go somewhere else.
Yeah,
he's got that much power and that much money. He could take Curb or anything he does anywhere, and they'd probably be happy to put it out, even if it's crap.
Of course.
He's one of those guys.
So he's all good.
We have some social media that you can check out. Go to Curbcast Pod on Instagram, Twitter, Reddit, Facebook, all of those. We also have an email address, curbcastpod@gmail.com, and we have a Facebook group as well. It's called Curb Your Enthusiasms.
Yeah, not a typo.
No, not a typo.
Yeah.
So just check that out on Facebook. It did start out as just a Curb Your Enthusiasm Facebook kind of fan group, but with the podcast, we've decided to sort of switch it into a fan group for the podcast. So yeah, check it out.
Yeah, check it out. Indeed. Anyway, let's get into it. We're halfway there, as John Bon Jovi said in 1986.
86, 87, something like that.
There. Yeah, the glam rock era, hair metal at its peak.
Yeah, I guess Bon Jovi was a bit less hair metal, a bit more just pop metal.
Pop metal.
Pop rock. Yeah.
Pop rock.
He wasn't as cheesy as, Wasp or Def Leppard. He was a bit more working class. He was like if Motley Crue had sex with Bruce Springsteen. He was like a working class. He wasn't into drugs. It was more wholesome. But he sort of skirted those worlds.
Yeah, still a cool guy in the modern era.
I think so.
Yeah. Seems all right.
Yeah.
Looks pretty good for his age.
Yeah, not too bad.
Not too bad. Anyway, the plot for Interior Decorator aired in the US on the 12th of November 2000. In this episode, Larry holds an elevator for someone and winds up being delayed at the doctor's office. Of course, this causes him to miss an appointment with Diane Keaton. Cheryl hires an interior decorator, Carmen, who also happens to be Diane Keaton's interior decorator, but she won't give him Diane's phone number. Bit of trivia about the episode, Steve. Diane Keaton does appear in the episode in an uncredited role. She lends her voice 2 times in the episode.
Yeah, I think once on the answering machine and once when she yells from upstairs to Larry and Jeff to wait. And
her house, yeah.
Yeah, at her house when they turn up for a meeting.
That's right.
And you kind of do see, I mean, obviously it's not Diane Keaton's leg, but you do technically see her leg.
I guess it's a body double.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
Just some random's leg.
Some randos, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any trivia?
No.
One more thing that you'll probably be really interested in. The lamp in Porno Girl?
Yeah.
It's the exact same one in Diane Keaton's house.
Oh, that breaks.
That breaks, yeah. The one that
okay.
Larry and Carmen, after they have their scuffle before she gets all passionate, that's the same lamp.
Nice. That's classic Larry David, where he'll make little references to previous episodes. They did it a lot in Seinfeld.
Yeah.
It might have even been 2 or 3 seasons before or between references. There'll be a character or some mention of something that happened 2 years ago, just to sort of make it all tie in together. So
yeah. So it's obvious that Diane used the driving range guy who supplies the lamps.
Yep.
He's just the same dude.
Yeah.
From Porno Girl.
It's a very incestuous lamp. world in Hollywood.
Yeah, California is just really weird, man.
Yeah, there's just one lamp supplier.
One lamp, yeah, on the whole of California, a boutique, bespoke lamp supplier.
Yeah, he's got the lamp racket down pat.
He does. He's all in. First scene of interior decorator, Larry enters a building to go to his doctor's office to look at his finger, which Cheryl put in a splint. He gets in the elevator and presses the button as a lady runs in and gets the door just in time. We've all been in those situations, Steve, where, you've got the elevator and it's about to go and then someone runs up or puts their hand in to stop it from closing. And, usually of course, for normal people like us, we don't intend on leaving them behind. But for Larry, he was just going to leave it.
Yeah, in this scene, he lets her in, but then that it goes against him later on.
Oh, yeah, he does let her in reluctantly, yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but no, you're right. Normally, you try your best to let people in, but occasionally it's just bad timing and you miss it, or they miss it, or I've been on the other end where I've been running towards an elevator and you can see the people's faces in the elevator going like, oh, sorry, but, it's fine.
The way it is.
Yeah.
Especially with COVID, you can't have too many people in
That's
the elevator
true.
at the moment.
Yeah, it actually happens, maybe once every couple of weeks. I live in an apartment building and we've got an elevator, and there's always that missed elevator, or when an elevator door opens and there's like 8 people in there and you're like, oh, I'll just take the next one.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
You'll all get COVID.
Yeah, it's fine.
It is fine. They both arrive at the doctor's office and they both make their way to the front of the reception. The lady gets in on the desk first, or gets to the desk first, and signs in before Larry does the same. The lady gets called for her appointment first. Larry wonders why the lady got seen before him, as he had an appointment before her. The receptionist confirms the lady's appointment was 11:45 and Larry's was 11:30. And she says that there's a policy where whoever signs in first gets seen first, and Larry questions why they do appointments and they should just take numbers like in a store.
Well, I mean,
I agree 100%.
Yeah, I think he makes a bigger deal out of it than he should. He ends up ranting at all the other patients and trying to get them on board, and he goes on a bit of a tirade.
It's almost like a Braveheart kind of moment.
Yeah, he's trying to rally the patients, but they're all either pretending to not give a shit or they don't give a shit. Probably the latter. Yeah, just some ranty old man. It's like, shut up, mate. But I agree with Larry's original point. The point of appointments is to you make an appointment and first in best dress. But if there's also a sign-on sheet that kind of supersedes the appointments, what's the point? It makes the appointments redundant. And I don't agree with Larry's dealing with the situation, but his original point I'm in complete agreement with.
He's absolutely correct, because obviously people have stuff to do during the day. Yep. So it's not like, you've got an appointment at 11:30, then someone signs in before you. And then they're like, oh, their appointment was after yours.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely a great point. I mean, you're right. His execution of his frustration with it was probably off the mark.
Yeah.
But I agree with his sentiment there.
Yeah. It's pretty normal for Larry to have a good point, but the way he handles it or the way he tries to express it is usually a bit over the top or just rude or just unnecessary.
And he tries to rally the troops, but the troops don't want to get rallied.
Yeah, I don't think they care. Nah. I think they just want to wait for their appointment and read the out-of-date magazines. Exactly. and not listen to this ranty old man.
Yeah, they got other stuff they got to do.
Exactly.
Excuse me. Could you please tell me what time that woman's appointment was for?
Miss Winokur, it's 11:45.
Well, she's after me. She's supposed to be after me.
Well, she signed in before you, sir.
I'm 11:30. She's 11:45. Why aren't I going
I know,
ahead of
sir,
her?
but she was here first. She signed in first, so we saw her.
Here first? And my appointment is for 11:30.
Well, sir, it was just a few minutes before
A few
you.
minutes?
There's no need to get upset. We have a policy in this office that you were seen as you sign in. That's
What is
the
it?
policy
What is it,
of the
like a
office.
bakery? You pick a number and the first number
Yes,
goes?
basically it's first come, first
So
served.
why don't you just have a little ticket? We can all take numbers instead of
That's
even...
not how it
Why do you
works,
even
sir.
give out the
Sign in.
appointments? You don't even
Sir,
need
just calm
appointments.
down.
Larry sits back down and complains to other people in the waiting room about the policy, like we just mentioned. He begins to go on a tirade as the lady heads out of the office. Larry tells her that he let her in the elevator and that he still should have been seen first. He questions why she was in the doctor's office for 40 minutes, a whole 40 minutes. She ignores him and leaves. The receptionist calls Laurie Darv to the doctor's office because obviously Larry's finger, he can't write with his finger in a splint. So, it's very weird
Very
writing.
kid-like.
Very kid-like writing. So Larry Derv gets
Larry
called
Derv.
to death. Larry Darv.
Larry Darv.
Larry or Darvey. Yeah, Larry Darvey. Larry is in the doctor's office and he asks the doctor about the waiting policy. The doctor claims that Larry is the first person ever to complain about it. So it's either people don't just care or no one's ever...
I mean, you've got to remember as well that Larry David, I think maybe a lot of people do care, but not many people have the amount of gusto, if you like, that Larry does to just question things in the moment. Most people would go, oh, well, that's a bit silly, but they wouldn't make a big deal out of it just to not create a scene. Larry David doesn't really have those filters or limitations on his thoughts and expressions.
No.
So I'm sure a lot of people have either had the same situation as Larry and the other lady, but they're just not. They're a bit more socially awkward or just, conservative or, guarded, whatever you want to say, to just not bring it up.
Yeah, and they've got other stuff they want to do anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
They just want to get in and out.
I don't imagine this situation would arise that often where you've got two people arriving at the same time and have to almost battle it out to get there first as well. So probably not a common scenario. But I imagine Larry's the first one to say something because he's Larry David, not because it hasn't come up before.
No. And Larry says later in the episode, he says, as long as I'm first, it doesn't matter what the policy is, which we'll get to right at the end. Larry says that he's late for an appointment with Diane Keaton, who's interested in a script that he wrote. And the doctor says that his wife, who is Larry's lawyer, happens to be Larry's lawyer as well, read the script. The doctor checks his finger and tells him to remove the splint as he doesn't need it. Larry is driving out of the building and is asked by the attendant at the booth to pay $3 for parking. Larry grabs his wallet and finds that he has no cash in his wallet and he can't pay it. I'm guessing they don't accept credit card or anything. Maybe it's cash only. One of those businesses.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, at the time. He promises to pay $5 to the attendant the next time he goes to the building on Friday when he goes to see his lawyer. The attendant reluctantly accepts this and says that she will remember his face. I know your face.
Yeah, she's a bit skeptical, but she relents.
Yeah. I'm guessing she probably doesn't get too many people trying to be dodgy, saying they can't get money for the parking.
Look, I imagine most people would have at least a couple of bucks on them, so it's probably not a common scenario where they roll up and they don't even have $2 on them.
Yeah, it's weird, especially with the tipping culture in America. Usually, like, when I was in America, I was told you should keep some ones and twos on you.
Yeah.
For tips or, whatever. Like, keep like a little small handful of them. So I'm surprised someone like Larry doesn't have.
Yeah, and I guess this is just before the time, maybe 5 or 10 years before the time when using your card for absolutely everything, even small transactions like $2 for parking, was pretty normal. Cash was still the primary, currency, I guess, or way to pay for things, especially small amounts. So it is kind of weird that, but it happens from time to time. I've turned up places and I've forgotten my card or forgot my wallet or don't have cash or whatever. So
you go to dinner and you're like, I forgot my wallet.
Yeah,
whoopsie.
but considering it's Larry David and it's only a couple of bucks and it's only one parking attendant, of course it's going to escalate into something ridiculous.
Yeah, which it does later on.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious. Larry later arrives at a restaurant to see Diane, but only Jeff is there. Jeff says that Diane left and Larry explains the elevator situation to him. Jeff suggests that he write a note to Diane to clear up the situation and to try and make another appointment with her. Larry leaves before asking Jeff for cash. So, Jeff's like, do you want to get something to eat? And Larry's like, nah, I gotta go.
Yeah.
He's a bit gutted by Diane, just leaving.
Yeah, he does say that, Diane's perfect for the role and he's really keen on meeting her. She's not just a potential actress. He wants her for this role.
Yeah, she's the one. She's the one.
So a lot's riding on the meeting. I always mention that certain things happen or don't happen or certain words are said that really date the episode. This, to me, really dates it, where a text message could just solve all of his problems. All he needs to do is text Jeff, even as he's waiting for the doctor, to say, hey, running late, got an appointment mix-up. Make sure that Diane, or even text Diane if he has a number, But the fact that text messaging wasn't, it was around, but it wasn't as common as it is now.
No, I think it was like at least a couple of years before texting became a thing.
Well, I remember...
2000. So when did text come out? Like 01?
98, 99? I remember texting in year 10. So I was in year 10 in 99.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, or 2000. Yeah, I think it became...
Oh, yeah.
I don't think it was common, but it became available.
It was there. Because I remember it became really prominent when I was in high school.
Yep.
I think I was about 14. It was 2002.
Okay.
Yeah, and I remember everyone was like texting on their old Nokias.
Well, I graduated high school in 2001, and I had my own mobile, I think, in year 10 or 11, and I was texting with friends around then. So it was like 99, 2000.
25 cents a text?
Yeah, 22 cents a text.
Oh, you got a discount.
Yeah. Oh, no, that was just the standard price. It was 22 cents, I remember.
I paid 25 cents.
Well, it was 20 cents plus GST.
Ah, yeah.
So it was 20. Yeah, and GST for all of our non-Australian listeners is just like a standard tax applied by the government for a lot of things.
Of course.
Goods and services.
It's like VAT in the UK.
Yeah.
And, sales tax in the US.
Exactly.
That sort of thing. For those in other parts of the world. He arrives home as Cheryl introduces Carmen to him. Carmen is their new interior decorator. Cheryl asks how the meeting went with Diane, and Larry says he missed her. Carmen happens to say that Diane is one of her clients, and Cheryl says that a message has been left on Larry's voicemail by Diane. He asks Carmen for Diane's number as the message cut out during the voicemail. So Diane says, hi Larry, sorry I missed you, blah, blah, blah. Let's call back for another appointment. Here's my number, and 555 whatever. blah, blah, and just cuts out.
Yeah, about 2 or 3 numbers are obscured by static or bad reception or something.
The bad, yeah. Well, they claim it's probably bad mobile reception.
Yep.
And Larry asks, "Hey, do you mind just giving me Diane's number?" And Carmen's like, "No, I can't do that. It's for privacy reasons." And Larry's like, "She just left a message. You heard it saying she gave the number. Why won't you give it to me?" I mean, in that circumstance, you give her Diane Keaton's number. I know Diane Keaton's a very famous person.
Yeah.
And obviously her number shouldn't be swapped around.
But I think the ultimate point that Larry's trying to make is that Diane Keaton, you heard her give me her
you
number.
heard her. Yeah,
so
yeah,
obviously she's okay with me having her number.
Of course.
The fact that the 2 or 3 numbers were obscured by the static or mobile reception is not really an issue. That's just happenstance. Whereas Carmen's argument is, I don't want to give out Diane's number because of privacy. If Larry just asked her out of the blue for her number, totally fair.
Totally fair, yeah.
But she knows that she's happy to give out a number. I think Carmen's just...
She's a stickler for the rules, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's very overcautious.
Yeah, but it's not even a technicality. It's just a ridiculous thing to... Like, it's such a... Like, she heard her give her number.
Yeah.
Yeah, so to me, it's like, well, what's she trying to preserve? She's trying to preserve Diane's privacy. Diane gave Larry the number.
Yeah.
It just happened to be obscured by a bit of static.
That's basically verbal consent. Saying,
Yeah.
Here's my, you can have my number.
Yeah,
Here it is.
so she knows that she's not violating Diane's privacy because she heard her give Larry's number. So Larry's just dumbfounded.
He's
like,
dumbfounded.
hang on, like,
I'll be dumbfounded.
privacy
too.
is not an issue here. Like, you
Yeah.
heard her give me her number.
You heard her give me the number, and even Larry makes a good point saying, well, Diane assumed that she gave me the number.
Yeah.
So even if I got the number off you,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, she was going to give it to me anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Larry, once again, Larry's in the right.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
Just the whole world is against him.
Yeah.
doesn't like it.
Carmen's just got this weird, I don't know, she's a bit, like you said, too much of a stickler.
Too much of a stickler, and I think as well because I feel like many of her clients are probably famous like that.
Yep.
And so obviously if the number goes to someone else, stalkers or
Yeah.
soliciting.
But like
I
we've
get
already
what you mean.
established, like
Yeah,
Larry
This
didn't ask
is
for the
obviously a
number.
different scenario.
Yeah, if it was a stranger or someone that Larry or someone that Diane hadn't talked to, totally fair. You would protect that number. But it defies logic in this situation. I would go, you were being stupid. You heard her give me the number. All you're doing is you're telling me 3 digits that I couldn't hear.
That's right.
I've got 70% of the number. Just give me the 3 numbers.
That's it. That's all I need.
If you want to be technical, just say Larry should have said, well, don't give me her phone number. Let's listen to the message again, establish which digits were obscured. Just give me those 3 numbers and pretend you're just saying 3 random numbers, and then I'll fill in the static, and then I've got a number.
Yeah.
If you want to be technical, you're not actually reading out a phone number. You're reading out 3 random numbers that happen to be part of a phone number. I've got 70% of it. You're just filling in the gaps.
I'm sure there's a deleted scene of that. Maybe they recorded that part.
I'd say, well, if you want to be a stickler, if you want to be technical, read out me 3 random numbers from her phone number. I've got most of it. You're just filling in the blanks.
You're filling the blanks,
So you're technically not breaking a privacy. You're only giving me 3 random numbers, which means nothing.
Yeah.
And, that to me is a good workaround, but obviously she should have just given him the number.
Should have, but yeah, she's just a stickler for the rules
Yeah.
and for her privacy. I mean, she has good intentions, but you got to kind of it's not all black and white.
No.
There are shades of grey.
No, but to me, this isn't even grey. It is black and white. She's just being ridiculous.
She's been ridiculous. And an interesting part of this scene, or this part of the episode, this is the only scene that Cheryl's in for the whole episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is weird. I mean, we hear her in the next scene where she's on the phone to Larry for like a few seconds.
Yep.
Larry's just going off a phone call with her. But yeah, this is the only scene she's in, which
Yeah.
is strange. This is the least screen time she's had so far.
Yeah, usually she plays a pretty important supporting role, if not a primary role in some episodes. But one of those episodes where she's only in 1 or 2 scenes.
Okay, yeah, I guess they didn't need Cheryl too much. I guess it was more like Larry and his journey.
Yeah.
Through the next few days.
Yeah, I guess it was more about, the doctor, the other patient who he battled the appointment time over, the
Parking
lawyer,
attendant, the lawyer.
Carmen.
Lots of enemies in this one.
Yeah, lots of enemies. And Jeff.
Jeff is... Oh, well, Jeff doesn't do too much.
Well, I mean, he's not an enemy, but he's a important character in the plot.
He's an anchor for Diane Keaton to get Diane on board. Larry is back at the same building the next day to see his lawyer. This is on the Friday, actually. And tells Cheryl on the phone that he fired Carmen, which shocks Cheryl. Larry sees another attendant and tells him that he has $10 to give the previous attendant. He says that he can't take the money despite Larry's insistence as per the policy. Policy seems to be a theme for this episode.
Yeah, everyone's being a real stickler for the rules.
Yeah. It seems to be a theme. He takes the money to give... the attendant rather takes the money to give to Joanne, the previous attendant, who was the previous attendant, and Larry says, look, here's $10. Just give her $10. I owe her 3, plus I'll just give her 7 for the trouble. All right? All good. He is in the elevator as he is about to go to the lawyer's office, and Joanne asks him to hold the doors. Larry pretends that he can't close the door. He's like, no, sorry. Shuts it.
Yeah.
Because obviously he knows he doesn't have money. And and Joanne would insist on the cash right then and there.
Well, no, I think after he gets screwed over with the appointment in the opening scene, at some point, I think he says it to Jeff at the meeting where Diane has already left. I think he says, like, I'm not going to hold the door open. I've learnt my lesson. I've been burnt. I'm not going to do that again.
But then it happens to be Joanne.
But when Joanne is running up to the elevator, I don't think he knows it's her. I think he just thinks it's a random woman because he actually says to her later on, I saw you running up. I didn't mean to.
I thought he actually knew it was Joanne.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Because he's apologetic about her missing the elevator in the car park, which is in the next scene.
Well, unless he's trying to say that to get out of it.
I don't know. I mean, I didn't listen to every word he said carefully enough to pick out whether it was. But my interpretation was he just thought it was a random running, and he's like, "Nah, screw that." Yeah. But as she got closer, he realized it was her, and then he's like, "Oh shit!" But the doors were closing. It was too late.
Okay. Well, my interpretation was he knew it was Joanne, but to avoid any conflict, and the fact that he gave the money already to the attendant, I think. Because Larry seems to be intimidated by strong women.
But he would have no reason to not want to see her. All he would say is, "Oh yeah, I gave the $10 to the other parking attendant."
That's true.
Like he has no reason to avoid her because he's paid back her debt. All he would need to say is, "Oh no, I've already given the money to go see whatever that other parking attendant's name is."
Oh right.
You know what I mean? Like he doesn't have anything to dodge because he's already paid back the debt.
That's true.
So I think it's an accidental lift closure.
And when he realizes, it looks like it's deliberate.
Yeah. To Joanne, it looks like he's trying to escape his debt.
Escape his debt. Yes.
But to Larry, he's just trying to not let anyone in the lift because of his decision after the opening scene.
Yeah.
And by the time he realizes it's her, as she's coming to the lift and the doors are closing, it's too late. And then,
All right, we'll just go with that. Larry walks in and meets his lawyer. She says that she was on the phone to Diane's lawyer. He explains the elevator and doctor situation because obviously the doctor and lawyer are husband and wife.
Yep.
She says that Diane is angry at him for not getting back at her. So there you go. So Diane's lawyer says that through, vicariously that Diane's pissed off.
Yeah, I mean,
not happy.
Yeah, I mean, Diane's an established, respected actress.
She's a busy woman. She's got other stuff to do. And she was still shooting films at that time.
Yeah.
In her older age. She was still, doing films around that time.
Her time's valuable. So, she doesn't want it wasted by... And she probably has a high expectation of someone like Larry David, who's also an industry legend, and also a highly esteemed and respected professional. So, she probably holds someone like Larry to a higher standard in terms of punctuality and respect than, say, maybe some young producer who's a bit more unaware of, how things roll.
The rules.
And the respect shown.
The machinations of how it works,
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. He asks about a $1,500 charge that he was billed for. The lawyer says that she read the script and it took her 4 hours to read the script, and she says that's what she's billed for. Larry asks why he was billed for reading it. She claims it took over 4 hours, like I mentioned, and which she even gives criticism, saying it needs more work.
Yeah.
So after Larry, contests it, she's like, well, I think the script still needs some work anyway.
Yeah.
So it was a waste. And Larry's like, I'm not paying you for notes and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And Larry says that he's going to go get another lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
he's annoyed.
What does he say? He says something like, and I'll take the script and shove it up my own ass.
Shove it up my own ass. Yeah, shove it up my own ass.
Yeah, and then he's like, you can contact me through my new lawyer.
My new lawyer, I know. He just doesn't want to.
And she's dumbfounded. She's speechless.
Yeah, she's like, oh my God.
And look, Larry was pretty rude about it, don't get me wrong, but I agree with his point. If he asked her, hey, I need you as my lawyer for whatever reason, or just to get your opinion, to read my script.
How much will it cost?
How much will
Can
it
you
cost?
quote me, please?
But if she just did it of her own volition and said, well, you need to pay me for something you didn't ask me to do, sorry. You weren't expected to read the script. I don't even know why she had a copy of the script. I mean, maybe a lawyer's supposed to go through it to make sure that there's no...
To maybe defamatory stuff
or
anything like that.
Which I understand. But if she's reading it as, as someone who's critiquing the writing rather than just looking to make sure it's all legal and above board, that you're not paying her for that.
Yeah, what is she? Bloody, like a script writer? An editor?
Yeah, I mean, that's what you'd pay, a head script writer for.
Or
you'd say
proofreader or something.
Yeah, there are people who do that. I mean, she thinks that she's doing a good thing, like I'm helping out my client. I just want his script to be improved, which is fine. That would be a nice thing to do. But if someone said, hey, I did this thing for you, but also pay me for my time, my lawyer rate for my time, which is what, $375 an hour at this rate, I'd say no. I'd do the same thing. That I wouldn't say, I wouldn't be as rude as Larry is, but I would be very unhappy.
Do you think she's an entertainment lawyer?
Yeah.
Like maybe she's in that field?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you think if she's been reading scripts, she'd be upfront and say, hey, I'm just letting you know.
Yeah.
This is entertainment's my field.
Yep.
I do read the scripts and I do charge.
Yeah.
So she hasn't been proactive about that.
No.
Yeah.
No. She's done something of her own volition and expects Larry to just pay her for her time.
That's not fair.
And she should
Not
be
fair at all.
compensated for her time, especially if Larry engages her as his lawyer. Her rate would be up front. It's like, well, for all my work, it's $400 an hour. Larry can afford it. Larry's aware of it. But you don't just bill for random bits of time that Larry didn't ask for nor consent to.
Of course not.
So, yeah, I'm on his side. His point to me is completely
Valid.
reasonable and valid.
It is.
But again, just the way he handles it is a bit not very helpful.
And then their relationship becomes frosty later in the episode.
Yeah, and it's obviously complicated by the fact that her husband is his doctor.
And he's got his finger, which actually is worse.
Yeah.
We find out.
Yeah.
In the next scene, Larry is in the basement getting his car when Joanne arrives and she's very angry at him. Larry says that he gave $10 for her to the other attendant. She doesn't believe him and she's aggressive and she calls him a liar. He hands her a $20 note. So he's like, you know what? I've got my last $20. Here's $20. And the lawyer watches on. And this is the beginning of the episode of, because she thinks Larry's a cheapskate by this point. So there's she's in situations from this point on for the rest of the episode where, it's kind of like to her, it's implied that Larry's a cheapskate.
Yeah, and everything that he does, even though he's not, everything that he does reinforces that idea of him. That
she has of him, which kind of, it's part of the joke, which you'll find out in a sec. He goes to the attendant gate again, and he says to the man from before he has no money to pay the parking. He asks for the $10 back that he gave before. They get into an argument about money, and, the attendant won't give him the money back or whatever. And, of course, his former lawyer pulls up behind him and is in shock with what's happening. She thinks that Larry's a cheapskate, like I mentioned before, and she goes up to the lawyer. He's so pitiful. He's got no cash, and he asks for $2.20 to pay the fee. Gives him the money. Larry's got his hand on top of the car, and she goes, "Don't touch my car, Larry."
Yeah,
she's really, really annoying.
The ironic thing is that if you combine the salary and the wealth of the lawyer, the doctor, the parking attendants, everyone in his world, he's probably got 10 times the amount of money that all of them have combined.
Oh, yeah.
But he gets in these situations where $10 and $20, which is, a lot of money to some people, but not a big deal to a lot of people, especially for someone like Larry, is just, just creates these huge, ridiculous, complicated situations that just cause so much damage and so much, just reputation damage and complications and relationship damage. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, and just really bad impressions from the lawyer.
Yeah.
She's just not happy at all. So Larry later in the day arrives at Diane's house where Jeff is waiting at the front. They ring the bell and Diane's assistant lets them in. Diane calls out and says that she'll be down soon as they sit in the living area. I love when Larry's like, "Do you think the assistant has a bad attitude?" And Jeff's like, yeah, she does.
Did she?
I don't know. She seemed alright to me.
Okay.
They just didn't appreciate her attitude.
Yeah. maybe their mindset is, extra sensitive because they really want to get Diane on side. So they're over analyzing everything that her assistant does. So if her assistant is slightly, not even rude, but just has a slight, inflection in a certain word, they're like, oh, they must be pissed off at us. I don't know.
Like that, because they want this deal to go through.
Yeah, her assistant just seems very businesslike, just professional. Yep, come and take a seat. Diane will be down in a second.
Yeah.
Just, polite and professional.
Yeah, because I feel like in this scene, it appears to me that Jeff, I don't think he's had a big hit, with regards to a deal or anything for a while, and I think he's trying to wait for a big score.
Yep.
So maybe this one's oh, Diane Keaton, this is a big score.
Yeah.
I haven't had one like this in a while.
Yep.
Yeah, this will put me back sort of on the map.
Yeah, because after in the second or third scene when Larry's late to the initial meeting at the restaurant, Jeff on the phone he doesn't say it directly, but he kind of implies that it's done. It's over. You've got no chance with Diane. She is pissed off that you were late. And that's it. But I reckon Jeff would have had to really scramble to convince her to get another meeting.
Because he needs this one shot. Because it's been a while.
Yeah.
I mean, he's had hits before, but this is the biggest one he's had.
Yeah,
in a
because
while.
if it goes through, obviously he gets a percentage of whatever Larry gets paid. So, Larry, his success depends on Larry's. So there's a lot riding on it. So I think and that's probably contributing to their oversensitivity where the PA is fine. She's not rude, but, there was probably a word said or some facial expression. They were like, oh my God.
Yeah.
We're in the bad books.
It was more their paranoia.
I think so,
anything. Yeah. Larry looks at a lamp and he says that it's the same one that he broke in the previous episode, Porno Girl, like I said in the trivia. Carmen is at the front door and sees Larry as she's about to leave. She berates him and asks him for her check as she still owes him money. And of course, Larry, looking like the cheapskate once again, saying, I'm not paying you the money. They get into a physical confrontation and they wrestle. Larry breaks the lamp on the way down. Carmen becomes passionate and begins kissing him on the floor, and Diane watches on.
Yeah, the scene ends with just they're sort of making out. Carmen's underneath Larry.
She's very passionate.
She's really into
Mediterranean lady.
Yeah, it's very sexual.
Hot-blooded.
Yeah, exactly. There's a fine line between aggression and sex. And Larry's not into it. He's sort of trying to pull away, and then he looks up, and all you see is Diane Keaton's right leg, and
probably a body double, but implied to be Diane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, the scene ends. It's a really good shot.
It's a nice shot, yeah.
Yeah.
And Larry, and I'm guessing the deal fell through.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
He,
that was it.
That's it. He broke her lamp. He's wrestling / making out with her, their mutual interior decorator.
Yeah.
Yeah. She came down to talk about a movie deal, and all this happens. She's just like, no,
It's like,
it's too
and you broke,
crazy.
And you broke my bespoke lamp.
And you were late twice.
Yep,
No.
that's it. Done. Finished.
Yeah, because actually, you didn't mention, he was late to this meeting as well.
He was.
Because of the parking attendant kerfuffle in the previous scene. So, yeah.
He's just always late. And it's not a good first impression. I mean, Diane's given him so many chances.
Yeah, and she's
after
really
second
nice.
go.
Yeah.
She seems pretty cool about it, but then she's like, I'm done. I got other shit I got to do.
Yeah.
Of course. When she told me Larry kept her waiting, I should have known it was you. Listen, you fire me, that's fine. You don't have any taste, you don't want my service, that's fine. But you owe me a check, and I expect to get paid. So I want the check today.
Okay, you should have gotten a check.
Larry, I don't receive the check. Please, I am a reasonable person. I want you to give me the check today. I want the money now.
Well, what are you saying? You want me to write a check
and you
right
fire
now?
me, I have a reputation, and I have a history with
Well,
Diane.
I don't have a check on me.
Larry,
Quiet down, will you?
listen, you tell me to be quiet?
Will you just
I will
quiet
tell
down?
Diane not to work with you.
Wait a second.
Listen,
You'll get your check.
you listen to me. Don't tell me to shut up.
I don't carry checks on me. Quick, stop that!
Give me my phone. You put your hands on my face. Larry! Stop it! Don't, Larry! Oh, you do it, Larry!
Let go!
Oh, you're an animal! Oh, Larry!
Hi there.
In the next scene, Larry spots the attendant. Joanne is in the attendant's booth to go to the parking spot, but he decides to park on the street and pay the parking meter. He asks bystanders for change for a $20 note. He doesn't have any coins, and of course, the lawyer walks past once again, and she's like shaking her head. I can't believe that Larry, well, to her, is such a cheapskate.
Yeah.
The lady from the first scene is in the elevator and refuses to let Larry in, so she just lets the elevator go. So he's now the victim of what happened.
Yeah.
In the first scene. He runs up the stairs frantically and to race her to the doctor's office. They fight to get in front of each other as Larry makes it to reception first and signs in. So they have like a bit of a wrestle. It's like a little montage of them falling on the floor.
There's a bit of wrestling. You said there was a lot of rule following or policy following in this episode. There's also a bit of physical tussles.
Yeah, tussles, especially Larry with two women as well. There's a couple of tussles. The receptionist, so he gets to the front of the line, signs in first. The receptionist reveals that they have changed the policy due to Larry's feedback. And the lady, because she has an appointment before Larry, goes in first once again. So just nothing hits for Larry in this episode.
It's
Nothing.
one step forward, two steps back.
Is.
He changes the policy by complaining, a few days ago.
Yeah.
But then that backfires on him. Then he loses again.
Yeah. And the funniest part of the scene, so the receptionist calls Larry out and says that he only wants to go first. And she goes, it doesn't matter what policy it is, as long as you go first, is that right? And Larry's like, yes, as long as I am first. It doesn't matter about the policy.
I mean, he's being
sarcastic.
He's being self-deprecating and sarcastic.
Yeah, but receptionist doesn't want a bar of it.
No, but he's also basically saying, well, yeah, like, I've been fucked over twice. He just wants a bit of me.
A bit of me. And in the final scene, the lady... so this is about 45 minutes later. The lady emerges from the office and she looks really sad. Like she's had a bad diagnosis. That's what I got from it. Like you can see from her facial expression. Larry asks her again why she was in there for 45 minutes. This time, instead of just ignoring, she just glares at him and walks out without saying anything. So she must have got something serious, like a diagnosis.
Yeah, I think it's implied that,
She might have gone in for tests before and then come back to get the results. And
gone through treatment options or something like that.
Which I know the feeling. It's no good.
Yeah. I don't think you mentioned as well, in the first scene when she's in the doctor's office for 40 minutes and she comes out, Larry not only asks her what she was in there for 40 minutes for, but also her appointment was at 11:45. And I think she feels a bit creeped out. Like, who's this guy? How do you know what time I was? And why would I tell you? And why do you think you have a right to know why I'm in the doctor? I'll take as long as I need, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I think she feels a bit violated.
Yeah.
And in this scene, she's just...
I think she might have got a bad diagnosis or something, which is no good. Lassie Maven is called up to see the doctor. So once again, Lassie
Maven.
And I love how she goes, "Oh, thank you, Mr. Darve." She's like, she thinks that's his name. It's like, no problem, Mr. Darve. The doctor will see you now. So Larry walks into the doctor's office, asks about the policy, and the doctor says they changed it earlier in the week because of Larry's feedback, because he's the first ever person to raise a concern about it.
Obviously, they weren't very sure of the policy. If one complaint from one person was enough for them to completely overhaul it again. I don't know.
Or maybe because it was Larry David.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't want bad publicity or something.
True.
Because maybe he was
I guess his opinion maybe holds a bit more cachet than a regular Joe's.
Indeed, even though he didn't have much cachet in his wallet at the time.
It's true.
Larry says his finger got worse from his scuffle with Carmen, as well as an altercation with the other patient. And I love when the doctor says, let me know when the next fight is on. I want to watch it.
Yeah.
I want to see it. How many fights do you get into? The doctor says that he actually has a fracture in his finger. So it's actually like a hairline fracture, but it's like worse than what it was before.
I'm guessing it was sprained before, and the sprain turned into a fracture.
Into a hairline fracture,
from the wrestling match with Carmen.
Yes, and with the lady from before.
Yeah.
The doctor says, he gives him an ultimatum. He says he won't treat him until he pays for his wife's fee in advance, as well as for the treatment for the finger.
That's fucking blackmail.
That is blackmail. That's exactly what I thought. Larry says he never asked her to read the script, despite doing it and charging Larry for it. And the doctor says, well, he must pay the fees up front before he gets treatment for his finger, which that is unethical, don't you think?
Totally.
Yeah, I mean, sure, your lawyer wife doesn't get paid.
No,
but what if the finger gets worse?
Look,
there's like sort of like a breach of
totally
there.
Yeah, it's blackmail, pure and simple.
It is.
If he thinks that his wife is entitled to the $1,500, okay, but that's a separate issue.
Yeah.
You handle that through sending Larry another bill. Like that's not related to his practice with his client. I mean, he swears an oath, the Hippocratic Oath, to treat patients.
That's what
not
it is.
not prepay for treatment that you could get from someone else. You know, so he's been a real asshole.
He is, full on.
Yeah, he's using the lawyer's bill to get treatment. I mean, if I were Larry David and if it wasn't my middle finger broken, I'd say I'd put it
up.
I'd give him the forks and say, well, fuck you and fuck your wife.
Yeah.
And just go to another doctor. There's surely another doctor.
Of course.
I mean, treating a hairline fracture in a finger is not exactly a specialist job. Any GP could do that.
Yeah,
it would just be reapplying a stint and, you know, a bit of maybe a course of painkillers or something. I'd say fuck you both. Neither of you are getting money.
Yeah.
And go to a third party. And I don't think that would be unreasonable.
I don't think that'd be at all. But Larry, you know, he doesn't have the confidence to say piss off.
Yeah.
And he just gives him this credit card and the doctor walks off.
Yeah,
then Larry lies in bed in defeat and that's the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Nothing goes right for Larry in this episode.
No,
nothing.
It all goes wrong. And he just pays money out of his ass to everyone, most of which, except maybe the doctor and maybe Carmen for her time. Maybe she's got like a consult fee.
Yeah,
to come
that's
in
why
and
she asked for the check, even though she got fired.
Yeah, even though she didn't do any designing. I imagine she's just got like an initial call out fee to come and have a look and whatever, which is fine. But Larry gets screwed over majorly in this episode. He bleeds money. And that doctor, man, I can't believe how.
Doctor. I can't believe he did that.
Yeah, but once Larry agrees to pay, he's nice again, and he's like, "All right, I'll go sort this out, and we'll come back."
Yeah,
like they're best mates again. You know, he blackmailed money out of him. As soon as he got that credit card, it's like it didn't happen.
Yeah,
you know, he changes his tone back to being friendly because they're kind of friendly, more than just doctor patient. It's like maybe they know each other outside of the clinic. Maybe they play golf or something.
I think they've known each other.
Or they they've got a personal relationship.
But obviously, he'll always have his wife's back.
Yeah. But again, he's allowed to think that his wife's owed the money, but you don't bring that into your private practice and use that as a way to get payment, you know, in return for treatment.
It's shit, eh?
Yeah, it was shocking how unethical it is.
Yeah, a bit unrealistic too.
Totally,
anyway, yeah. But that was Interior Decorator. How many Larrys do you give it out of 5?
I give this one 3.5.
Okay.
I think I gave it 4 last time. The content itself, like the guts of the story, or like what made the story tick, I thought was okay. I think after Pornogil, because Pornogil was a bit more risque, you know, the content about hot sauce up the bum and house that come built. Like, it's just the subject matter itself is
it's a bit tamer.
This time it was a bit tamer. It was more about just Larry getting himself into ridiculous situations and being misunderstood and people accusing him of things that he hasn't done, which is classic Curb. But what I did like about this episode was all the moving parts coming together very well. To me, it's the strongest episode so far in terms of writing, in terms of like there's just lots of little things that in classic Curb tradition, you know, a little thing happens at the start of the episode and then it, you know, festers and then it comes back to bite him in the bum later in the episode, and all the moving parts coming together I thought were really well done, well written. I think it's their most confident and technically impressive episode yet, but again, just the subject matter just being a bit tame, I guess, or a bit more middle of the road. I thought was if they could somehow combine the technical impressiveness and made the subject matter a bit more boundary pushing or a bit more risque like Pornogil, probably would have given it 4 or 4.5.
Yeah, fair enough.
What about you?
3.5 as well. I think, like, I know there's coincidences in Curb episodes, but I feel like there's just too many coincidences. You know, like it got to the point of like surrealism a little bit, you know. And also with the doctor going against his Hippocratic Oath to say, I'm not treating someone. Like, what if Larry had like needed something removed or like a mole or something? He's like, I'm not going to treat you. I'm not going to get rid of this life-threatening thing until you pay. It's like, come on, man. That's sinister. That's ridiculous. And, you know, and just I don't know. I like it was funny in most parts. I did like Carmen. I didn't like the doctor. Yeah, Carmen was a really fiery person, but yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I mean, like the subject matter could have been better. Like, I don't mind if it wasn't boundary like pushing.
I don't mean to say that I expect that every episode, but when you're watching episodes in order and you're trying to think of them as a series, not just each episode in a vacuum, I can't help but say, well, last week's episode was this. It's almost like a continuum based on previous episodes and what we know happens in the future. So I try not to compare it to last week's episode or any other episodes, but I don't know. I'm trying to view it in a larger piece of work, like Curb overall. Where does this sit on the spectrum of of just good episodes and subject matter? So,
yeah, fair enough. And plus, there wasn't enough Cheryl. I like Cheryl.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. She's always the sort of the voice of reason.
The voice of reason for Larry.
Yeah, basically.
And I feel like because Cheryl wasn't really there too much, I think Larry kind of went a bit out of his way.
Yeah,
like things didn't go. It was a bit
loose.
Put things in perspective.
Yeah, he was a bit untethered.
Untethered, and things didn't go his way.
Exactly.
More than they usually do.
That's true.
Yeah, they do. Anyway, that was Curbcast for another episode. We are halfway through season 1. Thank you so much for listening to us. If you want to send an email, say hello, curbcastpod@gmail.com. You can find us also on the social medias. Curbcastpod is that one. And we also have a Patreon page, patreon.com/mishmashmedia. And we're also on PayPal. Also, you can just find Mishmash Media and you can support us financially as well.
That's right. And finally, we do have a Facebook group called Curb Your Enthusiasms. It's a Curb fan page /podcast page for this podcast. So check it out on Facebook if you want to join the fun.
Indeed. My name's Ivan.
And I'm Stephen.
We'll catch you next week for episode 6 of Curb Your Enthusiasm Season 1. You take care of yourselves and each other. Thanks for listening. This podcast is part of Mishmash Media, an independent podcast network. Follow us on social media at Mishmash Media AU or support us on Patreon. All those links are in the show notes.